There's someone in your life who congratulates you with a smile, but their eyes don't smile with them. You feel it. You can't prove it, but you feel it. And you know what's more disturbing than that person existing? It's that you probably do the same thing to someone right now without realizing it. This has a name. It has science behind it. And once you understand what's happening beneath the surface of your relationships, you will never be able to unsee it. Ready for this? Think about this for a second. You got a promotion, or you left a difficult relationship, and you finally feel lighter, or you publish something that worked. An achievement you built over months. You tell the people closest to you, and then something strange happens. There's that person. Could be a longtime friend, a family member, a coworker, who says that's great for you, with a tone that sounds slightly flat, dry, like the words were correct, but the feeling behind them have been edited out. You try to ignore it. You tell yourself you're being paranoid, that you're reading too much into it, that the problem is you, but it isn't. There's research conducted by Sarah Pertesai, a philosopher at the University of Puget Sound, that maps something humans have always felt but rarely had the courage to name. There's a form of envy that blends with genuine pleasure when things go wrong for the person you're envying. It's not hatred. It's not pure malice. It's something far more complicated, far more human, and for that reason, far harder to detect. And it starts with a German word that has no direct translation in English. Schadenfreude. Schaden equals harm. Freude equals joy. Joy from another person's harm. If you've ever watched a political opponent embarrass themselves in an interview and felt a warm little glow in your chest, that's Schadenfreude. If you've ever seen that arrogant person at work lose a deal they were certain they'd win and felt a relief you had no business feeling, that's Schadenfreude. If you've ever heard that the ex who replaced you was going through a painful breakup and somewhere in a hidden corner of yourself felt something that wasn't exactly sadness, that's Schadenfreude. But here's the part most people don't know. That feeling isn't about the other person's failure. It's about you. And it's much older, much deeper, and far more universal than anyone would like to admit. The question science spent decades trying to answer isn't why do bad people feel this? Because the most disturbing discovery is that virtually everyone feels it. The real question is, what inside you triggers that feeling? And who, specifically, is capable of triggering it? The answer will change how you see every relationship in your life. Let's go deep. In 2009, researchers at Leiden University in the Netherlands placed participants inside functional MRI machines and monitored what happened in their brains as they observed other people's successes and failures. What they found was unsettling. When someone considered enviable suffered a loss or a failure, a specific region of the brain lit up in the observers, the ventral striatum. This is the exact same region that activates when you receive a reward, when you win money, when you eat something delicious, when you experience pleasure. The brain literally treats the failure of certain rivals as a reward. But here's the detail that changes everything. This didn't happen with just anyone. The effect was specific. The brain only lit up that way when the person who was failing had previously been perceived as superior in a domain that mattered to the observer. It wasn't envy of anything. It was mirror envy. Let me explain what that means. There's a phenomenon called upward social comparison. We don't compare ourselves to everyone. We compare ourselves to people who are playing the same game as us, who have similar dreams, who are on the same battlefield. A visual artist doesn't feel Schadenfreude toward an Olympic athlete, but they might feel it when another artist with less talent, in their estimation, lands a better gallery show. An entrepreneur doesn't take secret pleasure when a pop star fails, but they might when a direct competitor loses a major client. This happens because social comparison isn't about envy of material things. It's about identity. It's about the mirror the other person represents for you. When someone similar to you achieves more, it unconsciously threatens your narrative about who you are. And when that person fails, the brain registers it as a restoration of order, a confirmation that the universe still makes sense. But there's a second layer that's even more unsettling. Researchers at Columbia University, led by Mina Sakkara, investigated something they call malicious envy versus benign envy. Benign envy motivates you. You see someone ahead and think, I want to get there too. Malicious envy paralyzes and corrodes. You see someone ahead and think, it's not fair that they're there. The difference between the two isn't personality. It isn't about being a good or bad person. It comes down to one very specific factor: perceived legitimacy. When you believe the person earned what they achieved, you feel benign envy. When you believe they didn't deserve it, that there was luck involved, favoritism, cheating, or simply that the world was unjust to you while being generous to them, you feel malicious envy. And malicious envy creates the fertile ground for Schadenfreude. But we still haven't reached the darkest part. There's a third level, and it involves the people closest to you. Researchers at the University of Amsterdam, led by Wilco van Dijk, found that the intensity of Schadenfreude is directly proportional to perceived intimacy with the person's suffering. The closer someone is to you, the more potent the feeling can be, especially when that closeness is colored by unresolved rivalry. This has a different name: reverse Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude is a genuine joy felt at another person's joy. When rivalry infects a friendship, it can create the opposite: a secret, unconscious, almost ashamed pleasure when a friend stumbles. It's the childhood friend who always silently competed with you. It's the sibling who shared the weight of your parents' comparisons. It's the colleague who joined the company at the same time you did. These are the people who, paradoxically, may be most susceptible to feeling secret pleasure at your fall, not out of malice, out of a psychological survival mechanism that none of us chose to have. Let's leave the theory and step into real life. Example 1. The friendship that cools when you succeed. You have a friend from college. You dream together, complain together about the same difficulties. That mirroring created connection. You were in the same boat. Then you achieved something. A business that started working. A move to a new city. A relationship that actually feels solid. You share it with the people closest to you. And then something strange happens. That friend starts showing up less. Messages get shorter. When you see each other, there's something in the air. They're kind, but distant. You sense that the subject of your progress makes them vaguely uncomfortable. You try to ignore it. You tell yourself you're being paranoid, but you're not. This doesn't mean they're a terrible person. It means the mirror you shared has been broken. You move forward, and for them, unconsciously, your progress is evidence that they've been left behind. Every win of yours becomes a silent question. And me, what am I doing? When you eventually face a difficulty, a project that didn't work out, a decision that backfired, they'll feel for a moment relieved. Not because they want harm to come to you, but because the mirror became symmetrical again. This is one of the most common and most silent patterns of adult friendship collapse. Example 2, the toxic workplace and structural Schadenfreude. Organizations with scarcity of recognition systematically create cultures of Schadenfreude. When only one person can be promoted, when the boss is praised as a rare resource, when the culture rewards internal competition instead of collaboration, what you create is an environment where a colleague's failure literally represents your own advantage. It's no coincidence that the most toxic organizations are also the ones where gossip flows most freely and where people seem vaguely energized when another department's project falls apart. The structure creates the incentive, and the incentive creates the behavior. Research in organizational psychology shows that perceived scarcity of recognition is one of the strongest predictors of covert sabotage behavior among colleagues. Not explicit sabotage, but that strategic withholding of information, that forgetting to mention someone's work in a meeting, that feedback that arrived just too late to be useful. Example 3. Social media and industrialized Schadenfreude. There's a reason why posts about failure go almost as viral as posts about success. In 2015, a A study published in the Journal of Consumer Research showed that consumers on digital platforms demonstrated significant engagement with downfall content featuring figures perceived as excessively privileged or successful. Cancel culture has a layer of Schadenfreude baked into it. The fall of celebrities, influencers, wealthy executives. All of it activates the same neural reward mechanism because these figures represent, for many people, a form of unsolicited upward comparison that arrives through their screen every single day. You never ask to compare your life to someone with a penthouse apartment, but the algorithm places that content beside you constantly. And when that person falls, the brain registers it as balance restored. The platforms discovered this, and they monetized it. Example 4, the family member who never truly celebrates. This might be the hardest one to admit. Parents who unconsciously compete with their children. Siblings who carry decades of unresolved comparison. Relatives who turned, "Are you sure you can pull this off?" into a form of love. Families are, frequently, the first social comparison environments a human being ever experiences. When that environment was marked by scarcity, of attention, of praise, of approval, comparisons become permanent, and rivalries get frozen into roles that were established in childhood. The older sibling, who is always the smart one, may feel a genuine threat when the younger sibling succeeds in an intellectual domain, not because they're malicious, because that was the only thing that defined who they were in that system. When you succeed in that domain, you're inadvertently challenging the identity they built their entire life to protect. And the Schadenfreude they feel if you fail isn't about you. It's about them needing to breathe. This is the point where everything changes. If Schadenfreude is this universal, if healthy brains belonging to ordinary people with no psychopathological diagnosis experience pleasure at the failure of others, then what does this tell us about human nature? It tells us this. We are beings of comparison before we are beings of compassion. That's not an insult. It's an evolutionary inheritance. In small tribal groups, resources were scarce. Food, mates, status, protection. Everything was finite. In that environment, a neighbor's success could literally mean your starvation. Monitoring the relative status of others wasn't cruelty. It was survival. The problem is that this evolutionary hardware is running on top of a completely different social software. We live in societies with unprecedented abundance, but our brains still process another person's success as a potential threat to our survival. The philosopher René Girard called this mimetic desire. We don't know what we want until we see someone else want it. And when that person achieves what we want, we experience it as a usurpation, as if they took something that was potentially ours. This explains why Schadenfreude is most intense with people who are similar to you. It's no coincidence. It's mimetic desire at work. You can only be robbed by someone who is competing for the same object. But Girard went further. He argued that this dynamic, left unresolved, creates what he calls cycles of mimetic violence. Situations where two people or groups become so entangled in mutual comparison that they completely lose touch with their own original desires. They end up wanting only what the other wants, living only in relation to the other. Many friendships, many marriages, many careers are destroyed not by grand betrayals, but by this silent cycle where two people spend more time measuring each other than actually seeing each other. And here's the deepest revelation, the one most people never reach. The intensity of the Schadenfreude you feel towards someone is proportional to how much you've outsourced your self-worth to the comparison with that person. The more you needed the other person fail in order to feel okay, the less your identity truly belongs to you. This isn't judgment, it's diagnosis. The person who takes pleasure in another's failure is, in truth, suffering from a form of emotional dependency on that person's success. Just in reverse, they need the other person's fall as proof that they themselves are fine, which means their emotional state is in someone else's hands. That is a prison. And the way out of that prison begins with the hardest question anyone can ask themselves. Who am I comparing myself to that I shouldn't be? And what does that tell me about what I still haven't resolved within myself? Envy doesn't lie. It points with surgical precision to the wounds you still haven't healed, to the dreams you still haven't had the courage to pursue, to the parts of yourself you haven't yet learned to respect. Schadenfreude, understood this way, isn't a moral failure. It's a compass. a compass pointing inward. What is it telling you? You started this video thinking about someone, that person who seems vaguely relieved when you make a mistake, that friend whose support always runs about 2 degrees cooler than it should, that family member who celebrates your wins with the right words but the wrong energy. And if you were honest with yourself throughout this, you probably also thought of someone you feel this toward, someone who stumbled in some corner of you, produces a relief you'd rather not admit. There's no shame in that. The problem isn't feeling it. The problem is not knowing what the feeling is trying to tell you. The Schadenfreude you feel towards someone is a map of where you're still comparing when you should be building, of where you're still looking sideways when you should be looking forward, of where you're still measuring your worth by someone else's ruler instead of your own. And the people who feel this toward you, they're suffering too, in their way. Your success represents a pressure they don't know how to carry. It's not about you. It's about the mirror you represent for them. That doesn't mean you need to shrink. It doesn't mean you should downplay your achievements so that the people around you feel more comfortable. Never. It means you can choose more carefully who you let hold the mirror up to you. It means that when Schadenfreude appears in you, you can ask, what is this telling me that I needed to hear? And it means you can do the most revolutionary thing that exists in a culture built entirely on comparison. Choose to measure your progress only against who you were yesterday, not who you were last month, not who your neighbor is today, not who your sibling became, not who your competitor hasn't become yet, who you were yesterday. Because on the day you stop needing someone to fail in order to feel good, you'll understand for the first time what it means to be truly free. And then you'll look across the room at those people with their slightly flat smiles, and you'll smile back with your eyes too, because you won't need their mirror anymore.